Well, my name's Matt. I got into it back when it was more of a hardcore scene, going out raving. Back when I was about 16 in England, and drum and bass didn't really kind of exist by that point. It was kind of just forming from like the darker hardcore stuff, you know. And they used to call it jungle techno when it first started. So I was always in the jungle room. That was me, you know.
Well, let's see, my name's Sheldon. How did I get into DJing? Well, I had a girlfriend and she was a DJ, and we'd go to parties all the time. And she'd come home and just like spin records like to no end, like it was her favorite thing in the world to do. And I'd listen, and I don't know, I just like one night I had a dream that I mixed 3 records back to back to back. And I was like, oh, I gotta do that, I gotta do that. I woke up and I woke my girlfriend up and I'm like, I gotta mix, I gotta try records, I gotta try this. And like I mixed 3 records and like back to back to back. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. And I was just like, I thought it was great.
Well, my name is Corey Seacrest, and I am a fan of drum and bass. I got into it because of just musical interest. So when I was first doing this, it wasn't like there was even much of a scene around, that at least that I knew of at the time. So I was just buying CDs and even tapes back then.
When I first started DJing, it was on pirate radio. I was living in this place and this guy moved in next to me from London. He'd like just moved down to where I was staying at. And he obviously knew I was a DJ from the loud music coming from my room, you know. And he just, we just got talking one day, and it turned out he used to run pirates up in London, and he wanted to set one up in this town we were living in. So I won't say where it was because you shouldn't be doing that. But so yeah, we set this thing up. We had it going for like a couple of years. It started off in our shared house. We were running it from like both of our rooms, and then it got too big. We had to move it to like this space above this old antique shop. So that's how that was my first experience with DJing to the public. I was doing that way before I was doing any kind of club work or anything. And then through that was how I kind of got some local exposure, and then I'd start getting booked at clubs. But I mean, I started DJing before I was old enough to go out.
It's an art in what records you choose to play. It's an art in how you interact with the crowd. And it's an art in like what you can do up there. Anybody can mix records. Like anybody can technically mix records because there's a formula that anybody can use, but it's really how you use that. I think the hardest time I ever had is I was going to throw a party in Eugene, Oregon, and I went down there and we were like, we wanted to throw it in a roller skating rink, because like the second party I ever went to was a roller skating rink, and it was like, oh, that's pretty cool, you know, you can roller skate and stuff. So we go there and like, they're highly religious. It's like this place called Skate World, and it's like, this guy's a total God freak, and he's like, I was like, so we want to have a party, and he's like, well, we have church the next day at the roller skating rink, which is like weird. And I was like, all right, so, but he was like, well, what do you want to have here? And I was like, oh, we want to have a rave, because I was naive and I didn't know that I shouldn't call it a rave and I should say, oh, just a little personal party or whatnot. And he was like, oh, well, then that's going to cost you, and he quoted me like $3,000. And like the normal renting price for that place was like $500 or something. So it's like the negativity that I come upon is people's reaction to parties and to raves. And like, I mean, if people are ridiculous enough to believe stereotypes, that's fine. There's kids at parties that are taking drugs at raves, but there's kids at clubs taking drugs, and there's kids on the corners taking drugs. People take drugs. You can't blame it on the music. You know, it's just like, yeah, so there was ecstasy there, so you could get ecstasy there if you wanted it. But there's ecstasy in the schools. If you want it, you can get it. There's ecstasy on the street. If you want it, you can get it.
All kinds of things can happen that can drag you down, can slow you down in wanting to continue, like in being a DJ, being an MC, something like that. You can feel like maybe the scene is stagnant at some point. So you just have to understand that there are lulls.
I enjoy what I do, but I don't know how many more years I've got left in me, really. You know, it's like, sometimes I think, you know, I'll give myself another couple of years and then like just knuckle down and get on with my real life, you know what I'm saying? But I get so much enjoyment out of it that every time I start thinking that, it's just like, you know, I can't just quit. It's just, don't expect to get paid. Do it for the love of it, you know, that's what I tell anyone, is like, do it for the love of it, and try and find your little niche and just stick with that one, you know, play whatever, you know, across the whole board, but push yourself in like one direction and concentrate on that. So it's like, you know.
If I had the choice between staying behind the scenes or getting out in front of a crowd and entertaining them, trying to make them have a good time, hype them up, get them excited about drum and bass, I would say it was definitely the latter. I would definitely get up in front of people, make them make some noise, have a good time, enjoy themselves, go home, get laid, do whatever they do, but leave this party with a great attitude about drum and bass and what they just heard and what they just saw.
Don't let nobody tell you no. That's it. That goes with anybody, MCs, DJs, graph artists, B-boys. Don't let nobody tell you no. That's it. Do you, and do you, when I say do you, be yourself.